Welcome back to the late day wrap up, of which I'm a little bit late myself, as I was in the middle of recording a very epic interview with one of my good friends, and actually got a couple of interviews coming out this week, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to be talking about the journey, so to speak. So with that said, we're actually just going to focus on Bitcoin today. A little bit different thing here, just because it's already late, I suppose, and well, might as well just get this one out. So with that said, we're kind of seeing continuation, or at least I guess we saw continuation from the things that we spoke about on this morning's video and over the last few days here, namely the inverted head and shoulders that we saw coming in from this area over here in about late March to the resolution point right on over here within the last day and a half. And with that said, we do still have that measure move going all the way up to about $62,000, the prior high of Bitcoin. But with that in the way, we do see that there is a nice little short-term interim resistance right around about 59,650 or so, of which you could even say that Bitcoin's pretty much tested that already. So a little bit of a short-term pullback that is very much within the narrative of what we're seeing kind of across the board. If we do want to do a quick perusal of Dixie, it is on a serious continuation run right here, of which I am still looking for this one to kind of hit around 94.5 probably in the next month or two to come. And this is going to put a little bit of downwards pressure on price action for us assets trading against the dollar. Of course, not necessarily exactly like that, but especially if you're looking at Forex right now, I would still remain with my overall bullish bias on Dixie. But more importantly, when we go to the traditional markets here, we see a clear rejection on NASDAQ in the short-term timeframes, and actually all the major indices playing out a little bit of a short-term rejection here, and also a lower high structure once again on the 4 hours. So with that said, I actually would be looking for another move back down, probably to the bottom side of this short-term time frame range, about 12,750, maybe another bounce right there as well. Same thing for SPY futures right on over here, playing a little bit of a pullback after testing around the prior time high, and same thing for Dow Jones over here. I don't want to do anything too much in depth over here, but it really doesn't change anything for me on the higher term time frames. Gold looking like absolute shit, but back to Bitcoin we go, because we do want to focus on this one a little bit more. Okay, so first and foremost, I do want to go over the medium and higher term time frames, of which if you want the more in-depth analysis, definitely check out this morning's video, because it can be, well, about 30 minutes straight of that. But I do want to follow up on this, as I am still looking for this to actually continue onwards and upwards probably the next few days here, as we do see hidden bullish divergence on the daily still playing out. Actually about to test the edge of the bullish control zone for the first time in about half a month right there, the last couple of weeks. We've been kind of a little bit allergic to it, but that's okay, as it does kind of head back up there. More importantly, we do see that the TSI is going to potentially have a bullish cross even as soon as today, with any sort of a closure above $59,000. That will inevitably happen, and with momentum turning back up alongside a general continuation of trend, hidden bullish divergence. And if we go back on over here with our momentum oscillators, which I can bring up right now, where's my damn Bitcoins? There we go. Let's go over here to a daily. What do we see right here? We see the daily Stokes crossing back up, or obviously they've already crossed back up, but more importantly, going to be getting out of the bearish control zone for the first time in the last the last 10 days or so. Also playing out a same sort of trend line coming in from our last few lows, going all the way back on over, I mean realistically all the way on over here, as this is kind of like a nice little regression coming in from March 2020, actually quite literally just a year ago, connected with our September lows, and then of course our more recent lows in early March, before that March up to $62,000 to use a bad alliteration there, and then once again just within the last few days here. So I do quite favor this, at least for the time being. Troll bands will kind of squeeze in price action as well. So the the consolidation is very mature here, and I do think that it's actually pretty damn close to being resolved. If we do look at this consolidation on, of course, CME, it does look a lot more like an ascending triangle, which I do favor CME charts just in general. Volume signature pans out on this one, actually very, very mature here. Even the formation itself, pretty damn mature. I'd go as far as saying that we're very likely to see a break probably within the next week of price action, maybe even sooner than that. And CME chart really does tell the story right here. We do see that daily Stokes are actually not just having a fresh cross the upside, or very likely to have a fresh cross the upside on today's closure, but also going to be rejecting the bearish control zone, or even the neutral zone in this case. So I would look at that as more or less a bullish thing. Very likely continuation. On top of that, we do see DMI plus still very much dominant, and the ADX strengthening as well. Similar signal to what we saw back on over here in early March before that run. Similar signal to what we saw back on over here on this early signal above the 20 simple, and then your DMI plus gets dominant plus ADX right here. Boom, that's your whole run up to the top side Toronto band, trend, and then same thing back on over here at about $20,000 before Bitcoin got ready to go all the way to what was this, about $40,000 with a few stops along the way. Of course, there's several iterations before that. Well, actually, namely this guy right here at about October 2020, before that run up from about $11,000 to $20,000. But ultimately speaking, do I think that we're getting ready for another liftoff here? Very likely, yes, alongside hidden bullish divergence on MACD histogram for the daily. So higher time frame, still more or less bullish here. I think if we go over here to daily MACD on spot price action, we're gonna have a chance to maybe cross above. Yes, we will cross above with any sort of a closure above 61,000 bucks. Credit to Caretaker on that one, as well as the other indicators, as well as more importantly the TSI, which I'm really liking right now. And also you'll actually notice that that my moving average crosses actually have an info box here. You can grab this indicator for yourself right now. Caretaker just made it public, and I think you just type in Caretaker moving average crossover, I believe it is. Yeah, moving average crossover levels. There you go. And it's freely available to you. So massive thank you to Caretaker for that, because that's actually a nice, that's actually really useful for myself, especially using more long-term strategies based off that. So if we go down to the lower term timeframes, does Bitcoin play at a pullback in between there? Perhaps yes. I don't think you'd be asking for too much to come back down, maybe to like 58,000 base or 58,400-ish region. Certainly not out of the question, but going from structure to structure, it should be denoted that as long as Bitcoin is essentially above this level, and I've been moving these levels with each and every passing go, as you should, then I generally just favor hitting the measured move off of this formation, which was again put in over the last couple weeks here on that inverted head and shoulders, which again is pretty much pointed up right towards 62,000 bucks. The interesting thing about that is that would naturally imply a breakout out of the ascending triangle here on CME, and if we do break out of the ascending triangle, then there would be essentially a measured move on this one as well, which guess where that's pointed up towards, just south of 70,000 bucks, which is also in line with the 3.618 Fibonacci extension right here. Good confluence, typically a good thing, and that is, well, more or less fine. So with all of that said, based off traditional markets, do I think that Bitcoin plays out a bit of a pullback here? Yeah, perhaps yes, but just like traditional markets, high term time frame still very much bullish. Doesn't mean that needs to play out today, but we do have a little bit of bearish divergence on the hourly right here, so that it's fucked. No, of course not, but maybe, like I said, maybe a short term pullback down somewhere around like low 58,000 bucks. Ultimately though, I have no real reason to be bearish on this, even on short-term timeframes, as long as we are just riding the short-term timeframe structure, of which, like I said, we can move that up one more rung from this morning's low from about 55,350 or 55,200 to now about 57,700, or 57,100. Sorry, my brain is not working today, or maybe it never works, but today it's like very much noticeable. So what I'd say is this level right here, actually, right there, right in that little zone right there. And we can even make a bit of a liquid zone, but ultimately, as long as Bitcoin's above this level right here, I essentially just look for, any sort of a short-term time frame pullback to kind of play into long-term continuation and still be targeting the measure move off this, of which doesn't need to be hit today, but ultimately, if we do go across a momentum, also there's a 4-hour RSI just getting in the bullish control zone for the first time, actually like staying in there since 14th of March actually, so it's been a couple weeks here, so looking good on that one. Medium term time frames, what are we seeing here? What do you know? More hidden bullish divergence right there too. Looking good. TSI getting above the 0 read, so it is now bullishly biased. We were even kind of we tested this trend line right here. I guess I already have it in there. Nice one. And is the daily doing the same thing? Yes, we already looked at the daily. It's going to have very likely to have a cross up as well. Bless you, sir. Bless you, sir. 2-day, what do we see here? Yep, hidden bullish divergence. What do we see on the 3-day? Yep, hidden bullish divergence. And I imagine, let's actually just check out a 5-day just for shits and giggles. I'm curious if this one has it as well. Oh, what do you fucking know? It's in the midst of doing it right here, right now. It will be confirmed. Actually, won't be confirmed until Thursday, it looks like. So fair enough on this one. I'm just generally looking up here. Well, an uptrend is an uptrend now, isn't it? At the end of the day, should I talk about bearish things as well? Like I said, short term, if Bitcoin wants to have a short term pullback alongside traditional markets, 58,000 bucks is certainly not out of the question. But I don't even get short term bearish here, which isn't even the right terminology to begin with, because it's not really like wouldn't be like full on bearish. But I'd be looking for like a greater downside move if Bitcoin did break the $57,150 low right here. If it does that, especially on a 2-hour, which let me just double check. Yep, 2-hour would work. 4-hour would be preferable, but 2-hour would work in this case. Then I would target another move back down somewhere around 55,000 bucks, give or take a few bucks there. But ultimately, I'd still be looking at this as kind of a long-term setup. I really have no real reason to be bearish on this, as all higher time frames are bullish. Just lower term time frames kind of suggesting maybe a short-term pullback here or there. But that's not really the name of the game, name of my game right now. So I think I will shut off the video right there. Want to wish you well. Be back on tomorrow with some more live stream analysis. Take care and see you soon.